Holy fuck, oh my god. They actually announced a new Ecco game. First time since 1994! And before you mentioned the Dreamcast game, that was a reboot. Ah, good to see you. Well, I haven't been waiting long. It's official. For real, Sega's publishing it and everything. Finally, like, you don't understand. This series was supposed to be a complete trilogy, but part 3 kept getting can-kicked all the development hell and ended up never happening. And for all this time, part 2 was left on an unresolved cliffhanger. What's the longest anyone ever waited to hear the end of something? I mean, I guess technically the answer is eternity if we include Samuel Tyler Coleridge's Kubla Khan, but I maintain that this is a close second. 30 years rounds up to eternity in my book. It's definitely a funny twist of fate that Ecco 3 would become more synonymous with blue balls than Sonic 3. Or Ecco 2 itself. There's a theme in the media I consume. Now, a while ago, I made a video summarizing the events of the original Ecco the Dolphin because only 0.3% of people who ever played it ever saw past the Undercaves. That was really just sort of a communal cope exercise, but against all probability, a summary of events in the story so far is now warranted. Now, far more people actually managed to finish Tides of Time since it was, you know, designed to be actually possible to do so, but let's still review so we're all up to speed when I start forcing everyone I know to witness Ecco 3 when it comes out. Because Ecco 3 is actually coming out. So the original sequel was Ecco the Tides of Time. It begins after the first game left off. Ecco is still replete with god powers, but that doesn't seem to have gotten in the way of his social life. Dolphins, it seems, don't require a cool hand Luke-style Christ allegory in their heroes. All is well. For a while, there is no traumatic inciting disaster to spur the story. You simply wander off one day and encounter you? Now, this isn't necessarily a problem or an incident in the classical sense, but it is definitely odd. I personally would go back to the group and pretend I never saw shit, but Ecco, he's an inquisitive type. He's been to space. Spotting his own replicant ain't shit. Well, Ecco 2, the other Ecco, not the sequel to Ecco, that I'm talking about him, helpfully informs himself that the Atlanteans built him some teleportation rings. Now, that is helpful, but it poses a bit of a conundrum because the Atlanteans have been destroyed, and this is common knowledge. But much like Felipe using a new bidet, there is something, so in order to be polite, Ecco must use it. Person from Porlock, Felipe and the new bidet, these are all aphorisms born from literature. Now we show off the sick-ass sort of 3D underwater sections that helped this game stand out on console box previews for many years. So you need to keep going through the hoops to warp forward. They put a few redundant rings nearby in case you miss one, but miss too many and you're fucked. Just stranded in the middle of the ocean forever, I guess. They work kind of like the warp gates in Cowboy Bebop. Your reward for riding the high of this amazing intro sequence is this fuck-ass puzzle called Crystal Springs. It's unfortunate that this is level 2 because this one basically stops everyone dead. See, it's actually a pretty well-designed mechanic, they just don't have a way of conveying the right information to you. You need to hit the crystals with your sonar at just the right frequency to bounce them out of their orbits, and then they sync and, like, combine together? Okay, look, I know I sound like Sassy the Sasquatch, but I am describing the game in accurate terms here.
What are you talking about?
I swear to this day, sometimes I do it in 1 second and other times it's like semantic satiation or something. Fucking come on! This guy's absolutely no help. At this point, he should be saying, please do not kill me, Ecco. So, in contrast to the first game, this hasn't been too scary or traumatic so far. We'll make up for that quota in Fault Zone when suddenly your life starts exploding and the cave starts tumbling in on you and you no longer have infinite air. That sucks. Most relatable part of the game, personally. You arrive again just in time to inform you that you lost your powers and the OG game mechanics are back in force. In an area called Two Tides, some dolphins mention sensing the death of the asteroid and the presence of vortex creatures. Oh, there's one. So your DNA daddy is dead, the aliens you thought were dead are invading Earth, and you have no idea what to do next. No, I don't like the term DNA daddy. I already regret coining it. Fortunately, help soon arrives. By harassing some turtles, you are eventually able to get to the deepest cave in the area, which yields a time-traveling winged dolphin from the future. Obviously. See, the two tides are the ocean and the tide of time. Huh? Get it? Anyway, this is Trelia, a highly evolved dolphin from 100 million years in the future who takes you to her time to get some hot intel from the asteroid. She sort of just ditches you and leaves you to figure it out on your own, though? Okay. She also claims to be your direct descendant, so Ecco, sex haver confirmed. Most intriguingly though, she intimates that due to Ecco's time-traveling escapades, history is now superpositing 2 possible timelines. One that leads to Trelia's prog rock album cover future, and one that leads to a future dominated by the Vortex species, and that also looks like a prog rock album cover, but one done by H.R. Geiger instead of Roger Dean. So, in what we'll call the Dean future, Earth's entire biosphere has evolved into a massive superconsciousness. The seas are interconnected by these floating water tunnels, which the helium-filled flying dolphins happily guide you to. This is a periodic reminder that I am describing a real game. Only problem with this network is the flying Medusa, which just shows the hell up out of nowhere and tries to throw you back out of the sky. It's certainly one of the most memorable moments, and everybody loves the music. Ecco doesn't really have boss battles per se, but this is kind of close. Also found in this future is the Metasphere, an invention of the Astrates which lets you transform into any other living creature. But you just use it to turn into Burb. Look, you gotta walk before you can run, and you gotta fly before you can otherwise proambulate. Unsurprising but unfortunate discovery here is birds are just dickheads. You finally find the Astrate's new haunt, which is patrolled by this horrible thing. God. Anyway, the Astrate brings you up to speed on the fact that the Vortex Queen is injured but not dead. It's building a new hive directly on Earth, and it's poised to just start fucking things up. She also blew up the Astrite to preempt a counterattack, so you need to go back and find a way to reassemble a friend. The Astrite also sends you back in time with the Metasphere. Thus does your primary quest begin. Yeah, that was a pretty wacky intro sequence. Remember when everyone made such a big deal out of no Russian in the Modern Warfare atom bomb scene?
Me first!
Let me know when a modern AAA shooter game starts you off with a time tunnel jellyfish stalker sequence. No, really, let me know. That sounds like my kind of game. Show me the Kickstarter. So back in your own time, there's a few labyrinthine-ass levels where you need to help locals to get out. First, you have to rescue a bunch of orcas. Then one precocious murderer leads you to the exit and promises subsequent orca support. Always good to have a few danger girls on your side, I guess. One such helpful looky-loo gives you a somewhat more complete account of what happened to the Astrite. The Vortex Queen blasted the Astrite into a million pieces, and two little weirdos came and stole two of his globes. I've had days like this.
Kids are bread.
But the job at hand, find the globes and collect the globes. See, before you needed to collect about a single globe. Now you need to collect them all. This is a classic sequel scale escalation scenario. Globe quest. So for some reason, the first globes are inside this hideously oversized conch shell with what is purportedly a moray eel stuffed into it. Does that sound more like a Japanese or an English culinary practice? Hold on, let me call someone who's an expert. Hey, Tori, does conch shell stuffed with eel sound like a plausible English cuisine?
What?
What if it was suspended in aspic?
What the hell is aspic? Okay, stop confusing Tori.
I was just talking about Ecco the... Never mind. I mean, the ones on the walls behave a little bit more like actual moray eels, except for the fact that they're 50 feet long. Anyway, now you've staked out a new abode for the Astrite, so it's time for you to start the task of building your buddy back better. Ball by ball! Several open-ended areas follow, which are just chock-a-block with the Astrite's globes. You need to get them in pairs. Oddly enough, the game does allow you to triple ball, but it doesn't really help. Another odd semiotic cross path with Aquid. Big water is a nice reprieve, just a whole pot of blue whales who guide you to a single missing globe. Easy as pie. Not really a super important area, but I love it. And I never did get what the deal was with these huge shadow whales on the sonar map, though. As you reassemble him, he gradually gets more cogent. With the penultimate balls regained, the Astrite is able to inform you that, unfortunately, the final pair were absconded with to the distant future. But because now there are two possible timelines, the globes are now located in the dystopian version where the Vortex win. The time machine can only send you into the past, so you just need to figure out your own way to traverse millions of years into the future. I mean, you know, no big deal. Well, it turns out Team Astrite isn't the only ones doing some Terminator-style time cheating. The Vortex are also accelerating their takeover by importing tech from the future, among which are these sort of partially mechanized Vortex drones that are specifically adapted for high bathysphere pressure. In a nice touch, they even explode if you lure them to the surface. Idiot. But get this, since they came back to the past using the time machine, they are prone to slingshotting back to their own time. So letting yourself get captured by a pair of them somehow prompts such a slingshot and you arrive in the evil future. Much better realized concept than in Sonic CD, I have to say. Now that you're in the dystopian future, you have to find the final balls. Eerily, yet conveniently, the Vortex have driven even themselves to extinction by overdeveloping the biosphere and beyond. So from here on, it's just you in an unfeeling realm of machines and antibody-like horrors, navigating a lifeless superstructure serving no purpose and standing in futile defiance of a dying sky, a monument to ultimate futility. It's like a metaphor for having a corporate job. The background art, though, is immaculate. You gotta see it on an old SD TV, though, for real. This little thing indicates what direction gravity works. Gravitor Box in particular is designed to capitalize on this mechanic, such as to evoke a particular type of reaction.
Oh, fuck you!
Yeah, that's the one. There's a lot of confusing ass machines to navigate and weird monsters. It's like a metaphor for dating. Finally, you arrive at Globe Holder. Every guy in the audience can relate to this situation, am I right? Okay, so last Globes got, not sure why, but they take you back to the past. The real treasure was the friend we remade along the way. Homeboy gives you your god powers back and summons an army of cetaceans to assist in the assault on the new hive, and away you go. Mercifully, the new machine is a hard road exclusive zone, so fuck that. You track down the queen, who, ain't looking too good. Then you kill her ass, and all is well. Or is it? Guess what? The asteroid has decided that the time machine is too dangerous to leave unguarded, so it's your job to track it down and destroy it. So back to Atlantis you go in a fun-filled epilogue post-game section. Ecco turns into several fish in a vor-filled Ship of Theseus nightmare scenario, and fittingly, you then enter a labyrinth with a minotaur of sorts. It's a race to the secret of time travel as the queen has reverted to a larval stage and is seeking out the time machine for her own purposes. Despite your best efforts, she beats you to it, but ends up punking herself into an ancient era of Earth history where there's nothing for her to take over. Ecco, meanwhile, gets pulled into the time vortex to a fate as yet unknown. And that is where we have been left hanging for several decades. So, who knows what the third game will cover? Maybe the era of the past into which the Atlanteans escaped from the vortex and from which they are presumably coordinating the deployment of these glyphs and orbs and rings and such? What was the deal with your presumably time-displaced replicant anyway? When did he stop being able to feed himself? How many echoes are there in history at this point? Oh, I just got that. Echoes. Yeah, there's lots of echoes. Will we see actual humans like Cassandra, who's only ever been name dropped in the manuals? Maybe we'll see the original timeline's future, where Earth was presumably destroyed by the Vortex's uninterrupted campaign of omnicide, and the Queen is still at full power. That'd be scary. Who knows? But reportedly, we will finally find out what the secret password does. All I can say is, we got a new 2D Sonic, we somehow got a new Toe Jam and Earl, and now a new Ecco. If someone can just make a new Rystar and an actually good Road Rash reboot, my life will officially be perfect. Okay, everyone? Meanwhile, we'll just have to sate our curiosity by collecting garbage. That's a metaphor for most of my interests.